welcome to episode 27 of the Footy with Fletch podcast. I'm your host, Fletch Fraser, and in today's episode, I'll be talking to AFLW player Libby Birch. She was, of course, the 2018 Premiership player with the Western Bulldogs before she moved to the Melbourne Demons at the end of the 2019 season. Thank you for joining me today, Libby. How are you doing?
Yeah, I'm great. No, thanks for having me, Fletch. I'm excited to be on here, and we're just discussing off the potty about some VFL calling that we're both doing this weekend. So, no, we're from very similar worlds, that's for sure.
It is. You've got a fantastic story as well, and I guess you were sort of mentioning off air as well that you sort of started out playing netball. How difficult was it to transition from playing netball to playing football after you got that call from Daisy Pearce?
Yeah, it was incredibly challenging. And I think I'd probably say the first year and a half was the hardest, just to grasp the basic skills of footy, as I never played as a junior growing up and was such a netballer through and through, and was well and truly entrenched in that pathway. So yeah, it was a real struggle, and it did take a lot of effort from teammates and coaches and my parents, who used to go and kick with me out the back of our house here, just to practice repetitively and to never give up, because there was a lot of people along the way in that time, in the first year and a half, that said I couldn't do it and that I couldn't transition myself into a footballer. So no, it was very satisfying, years later now, sort of 7 years down the track, to think that I've come this far has been, what a journey.
And you also, yesterday, you got to be on the MCG with the other 18 teams. And, well, I guess you also had the AFL men's players there as well. How special was that for you?
Oh, it was incredible. I've actually got a photo of Darcy Vesio and I from 2016 with Gil McLaughlin and a few NAB league girls at the time. And you're just thinking, and this was just like this really small photo, and then you compare it to 2022 a few days ago, and you've got beautiful array of all 18 clubs, men and women. It's just so amazing to see how far things have come. It's mind-blowing. And you have to take a moment yesterday to think what a historical photo that is, like in sport, in the AFL world, to have equality achieved in 2022 is pretty cool.
It's definitely fantastic for you and for all the young girls and other women out there who are interested to be able to hopefully play for their team that they support one day. You started playing footy with the Darebin Falcons alongside Daisy Pearce. How was that journey at the Darebin Falcons? Of course, in your first season, you went on to win the Premiership as well.
Yeah, Darebin is probably one of the most favourite teams that I'll hold very dearly when I guess retire, whenever that is. It was some of the most favourite times. Like, you don't have the rosiness of being at an AFL club where everything's given to you. It's, you're playing in a community club. It means more than anything to the people of that community, but also to the club itself. We played on Cap Reserve, which was like a slanting oval to the lake, and the goalposts always used to get stolen, and you're just playing with the likes of Daisy Pearce, who has a VFL CV that you probably couldn't fit on 6 pages, and you've just got a coach like Jane Lang, who's now an assistant coach at Melbourne. It's just incredible, the people that have I guess in the teams that I've been a part of, and obviously that's probably one of the most successful teams in VFLW history, Darebin, that era of girls. So I was pretty lucky to be a part of it.
It's such a great competition to be a part of, and you now, after your time with Daisy at Darebin, you get to play with her at Melbourne. She's your captain. Yeah. How inspirational is she as a person?
Yeah, I think I describe Daisy as an iceberg. Like, you can see her on the surface and how amazing she is as a leader and as a person. But underneath, there's just a whole another level that she does for her teammates and her club and for society, plus women's football. And none of that gets noticed by anything external. She doesn't like the limelight, but she definitely deserves it when she does get recognised, because there are so many things that go unnoticed with Days, and I think that's what's most inspirational.
She's a fantastic footballer and a fantastic commentator as well. Your first season in the AFLW, you were signed as a rookie with the Western Bulldogs. What was it like to run out onto an AFLW ground for the first time?
Yeah, I don't think I'll ever forget that moment. We had a great first night. It was a packed Whitten Oval. I think it was a lockout at Whitten Oval as well. 10,000 people. Just incredible to be a part of that. And I was really lucky as a rookie to get a spot that year and to try and keep, I guess, to my teammates around me for supporting me as I was still really a raw footballer. And it was just my competitiveness that was getting me through. We played, I think we played Fremantle on that first night, and it was a beautiful, balmy night, and I'll never forget it at Whitten Oval.
Now, you mentioned it was a beautiful, balmy night. How significant do you think it is that the season this year will start in August, at the end of August, and will run through till about the start of December? I guess you won't have to be dealing with the heat of, the summer in January, the really hot 30, 35-degree days. How important do you think that is for the AFLW as a competition, but you as a player?
Yeah, I think it's really important that the AFL try a different time slot, not only for the weather conditions, but also just to see whether the fans and the game itself fits better in that time slot. Particularly, we're starting before the men's finals, so there's going to be a limited number of games in the men's finals, and it'll allow us to get well and truly in our season. And then also finish before Christmas. So we haven't had a Christmas in 7 years because we've always had preseason. So there's been no Christmas pudding for me. But I think it's going to be really good because, it'll be definitely different weather conditions, which will be interesting. I think it'll be quite windy during September and August, probably quite wet. But I'm looking forward to not having a 45-degree day, that's for sure.
You're a very busy person as well. You're a physiotherapist. You've been calling some footy with Channel 7, and you also have to, I guess, deal with pre-season training. How do you think you'll be able to juggle all of these things with the AFLW season starting a little bit earlier than normal?
Yeah, I think I've learned over the last couple of years that I really have to balance my life, and what really helps is the new CBA that's come out, which has increased our pay to the point that it helps us. It's probably right at the bridging point, Fletch, of being part-time and full-time athletes. So I'd say it's right smack bang in the middle of that. So I'm lucky enough just to be able to drop off my physio for the time being whilst I'm playing footy in this 6-month period, and still be sort of financially stable. And I can sort of pick up all the footy commentary and the footy opportunities that come with playing footy. So I'm all in.
You're very lucky to be able to be across all areas of football, but all areas of sport as well. I guess your time at the Western Bulldogs, you were there for, it was 3 years all up, 22 games, and you kicked your first and only goal at the Western Bulldogs. What was your time at the Doggies like, and who were some of the people that you sort of idolised playing with there?
Yeah, I had a really amazing time at the Bulldogs. They definitely gave me a chance to start my career, and to win a premiership with a team is no small feat, and I'm probably only starting to respect that more now, having had Melbourne being so close the last 2 years and understanding that you can be on the wrong side of those wins, if you know what I mean. Like, you can experience those losses, which we didn't in 2018. We got, the full cup and the full premiership. But I think it was definitely a learning experience for me to be a part of a team that went into a bit of a premiership phase and then sort of rolled out of that, and sort of having a disappointing year post the premiership. So from that point of view, I feel like I learn a lot, and there's a lot of players like I got to play with, like Ellie Blackburn and Emma Carney, and and all those players now are, Emma Carney is at North Melbourne, but one of the best midfielders in the comp, and just incredible opportunity to be a part of. I'm a Western Suburbs girl, so it'll always be in my heart, and it's a Whitten Oval, it's literally just 5 minutes from me. I can pretty much see it, so it's always been around.
It is a very special venue as well, and you're very lucky to be part of such a special football club, but also a special competition. You won the premiership in 2018. It must have been probably one of the highlights of your life to be a part of such a special day.
Yeah, it was unbelievable. I guess back in 2018, you only played 7 games, and then you went straight to a grand final. So very different structure to how we see things now. Like, you had to finish, the pressure was high because you had to finish top 2. So I remember our last game, round 7, it had to be, we were playing Melbourne, funnily enough, and we kicked them out of the grand final by winning just in like the final 2 minutes of the game. So yeah, strange to think back and think that we didn't have any final series, and it was only a top 2 competition with 7 games, and now that we've got 10 games and 4 finals and 18 teams, it's pretty cool. But yeah, it's definitely something that I hold true. I'm just looking at my my premiership medallion. Like, it's pretty special to have one of those, and you'll never forget the people that you did it with, that's for sure.
And you were sort of talking about how the competition has changed so much over the journey. What do you think has been the biggest change that you've seen?
Very good question. The biggest change for me has been how much our game has grown and how much respect our game now has within the AFL. Like, thinking back to 2017, clubs were kind of trying to work out how to have a women's team in their club. And, we kind of felt like there was the AFL, and then we were kind of sitting outside of it as this random girls team. But now I feel like it's fully entrenched, and everything that is the AFL is AFLW and is men's footy. And it symbolises that whole photo, I think, the other day of 18 teams, 18 clubs. Just the way that people are thinking about inclusion, equality has changed so much over the years. And, don't get me wrong, there has to be more steps along the way. But, our new CBA was an incredible victory for all the women who have fought so hard to get women's footy on the map. So I think that's probably been the biggest change.
It's going to be so exciting to see the 18 teams in a whole new look AFLW competition this year. And of course, you're currently at the Melbourne Football Club. What sort of attracted you to join the D's at the end of 2019?
I feel like I needed a new challenge. And the Bulldogs, we did suffer a bit of a premiership flop at the end of 2018. And 2019 wasn't a great year for us. I think we only had 2 or 3 wins. So I was looking for a new challenge and a new environment to challenge me, and I was also looking to develop my game in a way to become more of an intercept defender and really try and explore that role, but also contribute to an amazing team. And I really felt that at Melbourne, and I knew with Daisy there, it would be nothing short of that.
And you mentioned how special your time at Melbourne has been so far. You were able to also play a preliminary final at the MCG last year. It was a rainy day in Melbourne. I was sitting undercover at the ground on the day. How special was that for you as well, to be able to play at the home of footy?
Yeah, that was the best thing I've ever done, by far. That was so cool. I've never played Auskick on the MC. You know how as a little kid you get to go and play Auskick if you're lucky enough on the G. I never got to do anything like that. And I used to, watch St Kilda play, and my favourite player was Lenny Hayes. And I can remember sitting in the grand final in 2009 and 2010 at the G. And I don't know, there's just something about it. And we've never seen women play on it in AFLW, and it was so special to hear the sound, like be on the ground, see the stadium. There was only like 10,000 people there, but it felt full. Like I'd hate for it to be 100,000 because, oh my God, I couldn't hear myself think, I don't think. But yeah, it was incredible. Best day. I loved it.
What do you think the team need to do to go to the next step and to win a flag at the D's in 2022?
Yeah, I think we're being close, and Adelaide's got us both times. In that prelim in 2021 at Adelaide Oval, and then in the granny this year at Adelaide Oval against Adelaide. So I think for us, it's about performing on the best, against the best in the most high pressure situations, and we haven't been able to execute twice in a row, I'd say. And it's been disappointing, bitterly disappointing, that we haven't played our best footy when it mattered. And it's just been us going back to, continuously trying to be the best team that we can be. And, our history is our history, but we can make that better by, doing something really special this year.
It will be great to see the new look competition, like I mentioned, but it will be great to see if Melbourne can bounce back. You've had some great career highlights. You were nominated for the Women's Rising Star in 2018. You also were included in the 2020 All-Australian team for the AFLW. How special are those individual highlights for you as well?
I think footy isn't about individual accolades, but, you always want to, for me, like winning a premiership with Melbourne, I'd happily retire. But yeah, I think looking back, when I reached 50 games this season in round 9, in season 6, it was looking back and thinking how far I'd come from the girl that couldn't kick a footy or couldn't bounce a footy. So yeah, it was pretty nice to have a look at those achievements and then continue to back it up with strong performances for my team.
Where do you sort of see yourself in the next 5 years? You sort of mentioned that if Melbourne win a premiership, you'd probably retire. But like I asked, where do you think you sort of see yourself in the next few years?
I'd love to I guess be a part of a premiership team with Melbourne and keep developing my leadership qualities. While Daisy is still around, she's a great mentor and good to bounce ideas off and learn from. So that's definitely something that I'll look towards. But yeah, I know this is a cliche, but this season is important to us, and like I've got all eyes focused on that. But I'm really not looking too far ahead in my footy career per se as to what I want to achieve, but I just want to keep enjoying my footy. I think for me, that's important. And because I kind of lost that a few years ago, and I don't want to ever go back there.
It's such a great story. You've sort of come from playing netball to being one of the great interceptor defenders in the AFLW. It must be fantastic for you to also look back at your journey from where you started to where you are now.
Yeah, it is. And I never would have imagined to be a footballer in my life. I wanted to be an Australian Diamond, and that was the goal that I wrote down every day as a little girl. So pretty amazing, pretty cool opportunity I have.
You were so lucky to be able to play football. There are so many people who weren't lucky to be able to do that. For the young girls and the young boys out there who want to eventually play football, what are some tips and some advice that you have for them?
I'd definitely say keep enjoying what you do and just having fun, and don't be afraid to make mistakes. When I started out, I still sometimes kick, shank the footy, and we see our AFL players do it as well, the men's team. You just got to keep trying, and it's a never-ending improvement board for the game of AFL. You can't ever reach the peak of your game. You just keep improving. So just keep enjoying your friendships that you have at football, and don't be afraid to make mistakes.
That is a great message. It's really inspiring for all the young footballers out there. Just sort of moving this interview into a bit of a different direction. You're currently working with Channel 7 as an AFLW special comments and boundary writer. You're also doing the same for the VFL. How's that been for you, Libby?
Yeah, it's been an incredible experience. I have loved being a part of, I guess, Channel 7 and their team, and learning the ways of how to be a great expert commentator or boundary writer. It's definitely a craft, and something that, again, is quite similar to footy in that you need to continue to work on things and how you analyze the game and how you speak about the game, and making sure that it makes sense to the people that are viewing the game. So, and both the boundary writer and the expert commentary is very different positions, and both have their sort of unique style. So yeah, it's been great to be pushed and challenged in that area. I've never sort of felt, you're always nervous before little media things, and no, it's been great to be involved in.
You have been a part of the team this year, and you sort of mentioned off air that you will be calling the Preston or the Northern Bull Ants and Box Hill game on Sunday. You've got the late call up due to COVID-19. How difficult has it also been to deal with COVID-19 during this year? Because it has impacted a lot of things.
Yeah, absolutely. I got COVID probably about 3 weeks ago now, two or 3 weeks ago now. And it was, it wasn't a fun time, and it's definitely still hanging around in Victoria. And it's quite shocking, really, how many people are still dying from COVID-19. And I've been super careful over the last 2.5 years not to get it. And that was the first time that I got it. And I religiously wear a mask and make sure that I'm protecting not only myself, my family, but my team as well. So it's very, very challenging, and something that we have to keep being quite agile with.
It is going to be difficult to see how the next few years with COVID pan out. Last week, you were able to sort of observe the Channel 7 AFL commentary team with Matthew Richardson and Daisy Pearce. What was that like for you to be able to sort of shadow them and see what they do and how they prepare, and I guess how they present themselves as broadcasters?
Yeah, it was insane. It was one of the best experiences I've ever had, just to see behind the scenes. You sit on the couch and watch footy, and you don't really have the appreciation nor the respect for how much work goes into producing one of those nights of footy. And yeah, for me to watch Days and Richo, it was just awesome. I wrote like 6 pages of notes that I will continue to implement in what I do at VFL level. But even just to go into the truck and see how many screens the directors are working off, how the producers are pulling everything together, it's a real work of art.
It really is a work of art, and it is fantastic that you're involved in that, and you'll get to hopefully continue to develop in that area. What do you think is the most important lesson that you've learnt during being in footy, but also being in sort of football media as well?
Another very good question. I think, not trying to put too much pressure on yourself, and having room in your life to make mistakes or things not to go right. And I'm still because I'm battling being a perfectionist, I think, and as a perfectionist, you don't leave room for things to go wrong. So that's probably something over the last couple of years that I have been okay with things going not to plan, and that you just have to learn from the things that don't go right and do it better next time.
That is another great message. Thank you very much, Libby, for talking to me today. It was great to get a bit of an insight into your AFLW career, but also your media career as well. So thank you.
No, thank you, Fletch, and thank you for what you're doing for not only women's sport, but for the AFL and footy and sport in general. I am so in awe of, how you go about what you do, and I'm looking forward to working with you in the future.
Thank you very much, Libby. It was great to talk to you again today. All the best.